Hi everybody, Regina here with StarterPPC. Today we're going to talk about the long-standing debate of whether to have a dedicated remarketing campaign or whether to just let PMAX handle it. All right, so here at StarterPPC, since we're often working with very limited budgets, right? We only work with clients that have $5,000 or less. So we're working with small businesses. Oftentimes, we are not launching with a full PMAX campaign. So oftentimes, if this is usually e-commerce, right? We don't run PMAX usually with lead gen. So if we're launching an account, unless they have unless they're e-commerce and unless they have a long history with a PMAX campaign that's already existing and already proving to perform, we'll usually just start with a PMAX shopping only, feed only, whatever you want to call it. And what this means is that we try to get PMAX to work like a smart shopping campaign. So it really only has the product feed. So it really only has the product image, the product title, and it can't do much more than just shopping ads or display remarketing using the shopping ads, right? So it can follow people around the internet with the pictures of the product and the product titles, but it doesn't really have any other assets. Every once in a blue moon, Google will just make up their own assets. That's a whole other thing, but we try to just restrict it in the beginning, and then we'll switch to full PMAX later on once there's a large body of data, because full PMAX just doesn't seem to work very well for small businesses. It's quite evil. So usually when clients come to us, we ask them, please give us some videos, right? Because videos are gold. You've heard me say this a million times in my other videos, talking about videos. Videos are gold. So we try to get videos from clients. More often than not, clients have at least a video that we can use as an ad, at least one. We would like 20, but we get one usually, or a handful. And we will set up a dedicated YouTube remarketing campaign. This is also the case if we get good lifestyle images, right? If our clients have some images with human beings with faces and smiles holding the product up to the camera. If you're lead gen, obviously there's no products to hold up, but if you're lead gen, oftentimes you're selling yourself, your services that you offer, and so you need to build trust. Videos, lifestyle images are even more important for these types of businesses, right? So what we'll do is we will set up a dedicated remarketing campaign, one for video, one for display. Let me show you what that looks like. Here, for example, is YouTube remarketing, YT remarketing. So this is dedicated. This is oftentimes what we'll do in the beginning. And you can see here, it doesn't use that much money, you guys. It's totally worth setting up. It just needs like $2 a day. And here you can see the average impression frequency per user. So every user is seeing at least one of the videos in this campaign 6 times every 30 days. So you can do this very cheaply because the cost per click, cost per view, which I don't even have pulled up, is usually very low on videos, on images. It's cheap to show these things to people. And also the audience size is very small, right? It's not like a body of 1 million people that are in the market, because it's not outbound. It's not like you can just tap into a body of market. These are like earned users who have been to your site in the past, I'm losing track. It's either 6 months or a year that you can make your remarketing list. And you always want to make your remarketing list as big as you possibly can, right? Because why not? These are warm users. It's very cheap to show them videos and images of your product. And you can always just remove them from this campaign when they convert, right? So you can add 2 audiences, one that's targeting, those are the website users, and one that's excluding, right? And those are the website converters. So very cheap to run this. If we're running a full PMAX campaign, meaning Performance Max campaign that has all the assets, so the product feed, but also ad copy, also lifestyle images, also video, then that that campaign, it's probably going to spend as much money as it possibly can on remarketing. because that's just what PMAX does, right? It brings in the ROAS. So it's going to go after the warm traffic, and the warm traffic is the website visitors. So you have to kind of keep that in mind. If you want to lean into remarketing, then I would suggest set up full PMAX and give it your lifestyle images and your video assets. And then you have a tough decision to make. Okay. So I'm talking 6 months in, when you have a large body of data and there's a well-established campaign where Google has lots of patterns to identify who converts and how and when and where. Now you have a decision to make. Are you going to keep running your dedicated remarketing campaigns, or are you just going to let PMAX handle it? There's no right or wrong answer here, you guys. It's just $2 a day, so I often lean towards just leaving it on. My thought process there is, I like the full control, right? I want to see that everyone's seeing the videos 6 times a month, and I don't trust PMAX to do that correctly. PMAX claims that it goes after cold audiences, although that hasn't been our experience. So if it's doing what it says it's going to do, it could be just showing the images to people, the videos to people 1 time a month, and that wouldn't be okay with me, right? So I like the full control. I also believe in the power of remarketing, even though you often don't see a high return on these campaigns. I believe that they act like billboards, and even though it's very hard to track how effective it is, you can play around with it, right? Turn it off. See if your overall marketing efficiency ratio goes down for your business. Put it back on. See if it goes up. That's hard to tell, but if your videos are good and you have the $2 a day, I do like to leave it running, even though we might have a full PMAX campaign that also has those same assets that's also trying to compete with our video remarketing campaign or display remarketing. Hi there. Quick interruption. Do you know the main thing that prevents small business owners from getting their Google Ads account into a position to grow and scale? Budget. A lot of businesses, especially those that are just starting out, have limited budgets. And so because of this, they're turned away by most ad agencies, because most ad agencies have minimum budget thresholds that they're willing to work with. So what happens is the business owners end up learning Google Ads themselves. And the problem with that is that most of the advice online is geared towards larger accounts. And the advice doesn't have any of those strategies or tricks that can kickstart the algorithm into giving a small account a leg up over larger competitors. So it often just doesn't work, and the business just ends up losing money month over month. If this sounds familiar, StarterPPC can help. We offer Google Ads management services that are designed for accounts that have between $1,000 and $5,000 budgets. And because all of our clients are just starting out, we've come up with ways to keep our management fees significantly lower than most agencies. Because we know that every dollar saved on management fees just goes towards the ad budget, which is going to help the algorithm gather speed and power. So if you're serious about growing your business and you'd like a team of Google Ads experts to help you without breaking the bank, check us out at starterppc.com. Okay, back to the video. Some people don't share this philosophy with me, and I think that's because when you start to work with bigger clients, oftentimes what happens is, especially e-commerce clients that do like B2C product-based stuff, is they'll be running, Facebook ads, and Facebook is really good at getting cheap clicks and sending a bunch of people to your site. So you have a large body of website visitors, and the amount of traffic there goes up. My fear in this case would be that PMAX is going to spend all its money on remarketing, or too much of its money on remarketing. So I will purposefully put a dedicated YouTube remarketing and display remarketing campaign here with just a few dollars, in the hopes that it competes with PMAX and gobbles up some of that remarketing traffic, thereby freeing the PMAX campaign up to do what it does best, which is cold prospecting, which it won't do much of, but you're always trying to get it to do more of. So in that case, I do like to have it running. However, some people just want to see the ROAS, right? Like some people just want to see it, and PMAX is really good at getting that ROAS, you guys. So when you're in a bigger space, let's say you're spending $50,000 a month, that would be a case where you might just be like, screw this YouTube remarketing campaign. Let's just simplify things. Let's turn it off. Let's lean into PMAX. PMAX is a huge, large body of data, and PMAX does a better job when you're working with bigger budgets. On average, not always. This is not a hard rule of thumb. But in that case, you might just want to lean into PMAX and not worry about the dedicated remarketing campaigns. So these are all my thoughts. Oh, another thing to consider is how important remarketing is to you, right? How much money do you want to dedicate to remarketing? For this, I try to think about how long the sales cycle is. Okay, so this is one good way to figure out how long your sales cycle is. If you pull up the conversions column, not conversions by time, but just conversions, and you go down to the account row, you can hover over the number here, and there's a pop-up that shows up, and it says, it takes up to 3 days after an impression for most of your conversion data to be reported. So now you know, okay, my sales cycle in Google Ads on average is 3 days. If I move over to this account, for example, theirs, I noticed, is 5 days. And that makes sense. They're both B2C e-commerce product-based businesses, but the average order value in this account is probably 3 times as much as the other account, because they're selling like very fancy, very soft throws, like for your bed or your couch, blankets that cost, over $100, that type of thing. So, so 5 days here. For some lead gen businesses, like I was saying, lead gen remarketing can be even more important, you guys, because oftentimes you're selling services, right? So people have lots of questions about what you offer, and they have to see you multiple times to build that trust and decide, I want to work with that person. They're answering all my questions. So video remarketing, so important in lead gen service-based businesses. For those types of businesses, the sales cycle tends to be weeks, if not months. How long does it take for an intern to research which B2B service to hire, make a list for the boss, bring it to the boss brings it to the boss's boss, they decide on one, get the credit card, come back. You know what I mean? Like that can take weeks. So for these types of businesses that have a longer sales cycle, you might decide, okay, remarketing for us in particular is very important because we have to educate people. We have to build their trust. So we're going to really lean into that. And we don't mind if people see our videos 8, 9, 10 times on average per month, and we have it in the PMAX campaign. Again, we don't really do PMAX with lead gen. So this is just e-commerce. We would have it in both places. So if you really believe in the power of remarketing for your business, despite the fact that tracking doesn't work well for those businesses and you might never know how effective it is unless you just turn it off and on and experiment with it a little bit, then that's the way to go. Also, how many videos you have. This 8 times a month is not for one video. It's for all the videos in this campaign. So if you have 2 videos versus if you have 20 videos, you can afford more or less views, right? Because people are going to get exhausted by 2 videos. You might only want 4 views on average per month. But if you have 20 really good videos, you could scoot that way up there, right? 20 times a month. I don't know. How many times could you be cycled through those videos and not get sick of it? So, just make sure if you're running remarketing campaigns, there's this neat little trick where you can cap the views. So you go into the settings, and if it ever loads, then you click on additional settings, and you can see here frequency capping, right? So this is going to let you restrict how much money is spent in that campaign, which is nice because you can very easily overspend in a remarketing campaign. And then you check the frequency and it's like 100 times a month. And you're like, oh, I could have used that money elsewhere. I could have used it on cold prospecting instead of just annoyed my warm audience. So, all right. Well, those are my thoughts on remarketing. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Thanks.
And we could talk about like frequency capping if you want. Maybe that'd be a good topic to cover.
Oh, not for me. I don't use frequency capping at all.
Okay, never mind.
Well, actually, that might be a good topic for conversation, Caden. My theory in frequency capping is the